Hello folks, and welcome to another episode of How to Build a Healthy Gut. I'm your host Dave Mayo from HackYourGut.com, and today we're going to talk about why whole unprocessed foods should be the foundation of your gut health protocol. Now, what am I talking about when I mention whole unprocessed foods? We're talking about things like fruits, vegetables, meats that have very little processing. So in other words, they kind of look like they would in their unaltered state. Now, the reason we want whole unprocessed foods to be the foundation of our gut health protocol and not things such as processed foods, or I will even lump supplements in with the processed foods, because essentially it's a heavily processed food that becomes a supplement. The reason we want to focus on whole unprocessed foods is the way they work with our digestive system. First off, foods are locked up into something called a food matrix. Basically what that means is it's not just a whole bunch of free available nutrients for you to absorb. They're locked up into this food matrix, and what happens is as we digest our food, over time there's a slow time release of nutrients that changes throughout the digestive tract as we break down these foods. So as I mentioned previously in the episode on the difference between animal and plant-based proteins are generally going to be less bioavailable. They're going to be kind of locked up in that food matrix for longer, and they're going to make their way into the colon where those amino acids can be metabolized by members of our microbiome. In the same way, any sort of whole unprocessed food is going to be less bioavailable to the upper part of the digestive tract, and it's going to be released throughout the digestive tract. In addition, whole unprocessed foods also tend to have no preservatives, no emulsifiers, and no food additives that can have a negative effect both on your digestion as well as your microbiome. So when we focus on whole unprocessed foods, we get this slow time release. So using a supplement as an example, a lot of people like to use supplemental fibers to kind of boost their gut health. The problem with this is that fiber is bioavailable throughout the entire digestive tract, not bioavailable to us, bioavailable to the microbes within our gut. It's not locked up in that food matrix. So we could get an expansion of bacteria that we don't necessarily want in the small intestine if we make fiber available up that high. We want the fiber to make it to the colon. For the most part, most of that is going to make it to the colon, but we're going to see less of it make it to the colon if that same amount of fiber was locked up in food matrix in a whole unprocessed food. So with supplements, so take Athletic Greens. Sounds like a great supplement. Gives you a lot of vitamins and minerals that you might be lacking in your diet, but even if you're going to take something like Athletic Greens, you should actually consume greens in your diet so that you get this benefit of kind of slowly releasing the nutrients throughout the digestive tract. And that's definitely going to have a major difference in the way it's processed, both by us as well as our microbiome. We want to kind of avoid just dumping down a bunch of free nutrients into our gut. There's probably some level of wisdom to the way that our digestive system works, and our microbes evolved with us based on the way that works. So we're just not meant to have certain nutrients bioavailable all the way up into the duodenum. It should take a little while longer for those to be released and absorbed by us and released into our microbiome. Palatability is also a problem. Generally with whole unprocessed foods, they're a little more filling because they take energy to digest. They're digested a little more slowly, so you're more likely to get the fed signal. Whereas processed foods, they're just made to taste just right. You can't have only one. So you'll generally overeat these foods. And of course, you have the food additives, the emulsifiers, and the preservatives in there that are not necessarily the best thing to be putting in your microbiome, at least not in huge amounts. This doesn't mean making whole unprocessed foods the foundation for your gut health protocol does not mean that you can't eat processed foods. I eat processed foods. Most people, you're simply not going to get around eating processed foods, but just don't make them a staple in your diet. Make them more of a garnish and have them from time to time. Same with supplements. If you want to use supplements for your gut health protocol, that's fine. They're not at the foundation. They're probably more towards at the tip of the pyramid, where once you've got everything locked down, your nutrition, your sleep, your stress management, then you add supplements to give you a little more of an edge. But overall, supplements are really not the foundation for building gut health, and I think a lot of people do that. Eat whole unprocessed foods, get adequate protein, and try not to overeat, and that will get you most of the way there. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.